1992, when it was released, a music critic by the name of Matthew Greenwald called Harvest Moon, the title track from the LP, one of the most beautiful melodies he'd ever heard. Neil Young did very, very well with Harvest Moon, and it was kind of a throwback LP for him. He gathered together some of the same musicians who had recorded with him 20 years earlier on the iconic LP Harvest, and he pulled them together for Harvest Moon. A beautifully acoustically produced LP. Here's the title track, Neil Young's Harvest Moon. Okay, welcome. Song Mentor, now presented in high definition with also improved audio quality. And I hope that's good news for you, because it certainly is for me. Let's talk about the tuning for Harvest Moon. And Harvest Moon is in drop D tuning. That's as opposed to double drop D tuning, where we tune both the high and the low E strings down to D. In drop D tuning, we just tune the sixth string, the low E string, down to D. Now, as always with when you're checking pitch on strings, you should always tune down below pitch. Now I want the low E string now to be a D, so I'm going to match it up with the fourth string open. Fourth string open, of course, is an open D note. So I'm going to go below it, and then tune it back up so that I can hear that they're an octave apart. And then what I should probably do after that is get a tuner and just double check all the strings, but make sure that that low string is now tuned perfect pitch D rather than open E. All right, let's move on to that beautiful intro for Harvest Moon. Okay, I jumped the gun a little. Just before we get into that intro, let's talk about the chords we need. And it's really a 4-chord song. We need an E minor chord. But now, with the drop D tuning, we're going to have to cover that 6th string 2nd fret in order to play an E note to get the full E minor chord. So there's 2 ways to do that. You can play a regular E minor and then just wrap your thumb around tight enough to cover and press down on that F sharp note, where the F sharp note would normally be, which of course is now an E note. That becomes an E minor. Another way to do it is just to that top finger of the E minor chord, you can kind of just squish that down on the 2nd fret of the 6th and 5th strings. If that's more comfortable for you, play it that way. I'm going to go with the thumb. This is more comfortable for me, so that's a choice you can make there. So E minor, you need an open A chord. You need an open D, and when I say 4 chords, it's really just 3 chords, but we're going to play this little, and that's going from the open A to this alternative D chord, which is this full D, which is basically I'm barring here across the 2nd fret 4 strings, and then I'm adding my 1st finger, or 2nd finger rather, to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and my 3rd finger to the 4th fret of the 4th string, which is a D chord. When I play the A like that, strum it, and then add that. And that's for a part of the song that goes. So I need to put that in there. So I guess, again, the E minor, the open A, the open D, and then that little A, bar A up to D. And those are the chords you need. All right, well, on to this intro / opening riff. And what we're going to do is position our fingers as follows. Our 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Our 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. And when we pick this opening chord, that's what we're going to end up with. What we're doing here is our fingers are where I just told you they should be, and then you're going to add your pinky finger to the 12th fret of the 2nd string. So we're going to strum down on 10 and 11 of the 2nd and 3rd strings. And then we're going to add our pinky to 12 of the 2nd string. Then we're going to lift up our pinky from 12 and add our first finger to the 9th fret of the first string. And we can strum through. We want to make sure that we do hit that low open D now, because that's going to be part of this, the sound of this chord. Let's take a look at the right hand for this. See that? So that second part of it is up, 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 down, up. Okay, now this is a repeated riff throughout the song, so you really need to get this right. And it's so cool. It does it 4 times at the intro, and it heads into an E minor chord. Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. And then we get into another little bit there. So 4 times through that intro. And then we go to the E minor. Come a little bit closer. And another cool thing that happens as soon as we go to the E minor chord, come a little bit closer, and we'll do this picture in picture. There's a beautiful little harmonic that's played here, and it's played come a little bit closer. It's played twice there. And that is also repeated a couple times in the song. So to play that harmonic, to play any harmonic, what you want to do is just barely touch. It does take practice to get them clean. Okay? And the first 3 notes, the harmonic notes, are on the 12th fret of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. And I'm putting my finger, I'm just gently, barely touching the string there, at the fret bar above the 12th fret. Okay? And you can see that last one was a little too, I let it ring a little bit. So you want to practice that until you get those nice and clean. And then the last one, because you got to jump down here, is on the 7th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th bar, the 7th fret of the 5th string. So it's, and you practice it over and over again. And that's a beautiful little harmonic that's thrown in there just as we head into the verses. So you've got the opening riff and that nice little harmonic. Let's talk about how to play through a verse. Come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. Okay, so alternate verses are done just differently. Like the first verse is done that way. The second verse is done with but there's a full moon rising, let's go dancing in the light. So it alternates back and forth from this one to this one, which of course is the intro again. Okay, let me show you what's going on there. Basically, I'm strumming the D chord, and And that's kind of a boom, boom, kind of a nice big open D there. I'll show you the right hand in a moment. And as I'm picking, I'm kind of on the D chord, but I'm picking up on one, up on one, up on two, and then that little A-D combo we did earlier. So let me show you the right hand there. So with the lyrics, come a little bit closer, hear what I have to say. Just like children sleeping. Okay, basic strumming pattern. Remember, when we get to the next verse, it's going to be but there's a full moon rising, let's go dancing in the night. Okay, I think we have enough of the pattern now to be able to go through, play an intro and 2 verses. And once we do that, you have the pattern for the entire song. Just before we move to the playthrough, let's talk about the chorus, and it's a simple alternating between E minor and open A, twice each. Because I'm still in love with you, I want to see you dance again. I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. So we want to go through that pattern, E minor, A twice, and then back to that intro riff. All right, we're ready for a playthrough. Come a little bit closer. Just like children sleeping, we could dream this night away. But there's a full moon rising, let's go dancing in the night. Because I'm still in love with you, I want to see you dance again. Because I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. All right, just before fine-tuning, last but not least, we have the ending. And we're just going to play that intro riff as we did it in the intro. We're going to repeat it as an outro, so 4 times, and then we're going to end on a nice open D chord. So. that's a wrap. All right, fine tuning for Harvest Moon. Remember that we're using drop D tuning. You drop the low E down to a D, and when you play some of those chords, particularly the intro riff, you notice how I can emphasize that low D note now, which is really cool in there. You got a couple little alternate strummings. Some pretty cool stuff in this song. Again, the picture-in-picture shows you that nice little harmonic that we learned as well. And if you can get somebody to sing along with you, some of those background oohs and ahs are really, really gorgeous. There you go, Neil Young on this Harvest Moon. We'll see you next time on Song Mentor.